I'm Eric.
And I'm Steve.
Rivals of Ixalan Spoilers.
Golden Age gone.
Let's talk about it.
Welcome back, Planeswalkers. We're here doing another Let's Talk About It. As always, we like to start every episode with just letting you guys know that you guys can talk to us about what you want to hear about. Any topics that you want to bring up, just put them in the comments and we'll try and make it a priority. For today, we've got the Rivals of Ixalan Spoilers, and then we wanted to talk about, have we passed the golden age of Magic, or Commander, as I like to put it, in my frame of reference. So first up, we've got a, how do you say that? It's in a different language and everything right now. So yeah. As you can see on the screen, it's a big black dinosaur that's a 6/6. I think it has Death Touch. Can you switch over to the text
we'll move on here. So
there we go. So it's a legendary creature, Elder Dinosaur, which is a really interesting creature type. Death Touch. It's pay 1 black, reveal him. From your hand, put a prey counter on target creature. Only activate this ability during your turn. So sorcerer speed, kind of targeted targets. And then when he enters the battlefield, destroy all creatures with prey counters on them. So I think that's a pretty interesting mechanic. I wonder if they'll use it for other stuff as well.
Yeah, like seeing prey counters on other stuff. Yeah, like I think it'd be easy. I could see it as a standalone, especially if it doesn't have like a keyword to it. I mean, a prey counter, there's been a lot of different types of counters, but it would make sense, especially if he's at the head of some group of like, elder dinosaurs or something.
Dark, evil dinosaurs.
Yeah. I saw this guy and instantly thought of, like, what could you do to do this more than once? Like, it reminds me of Mathis as far as those bounty counters and, some of the activated stuff or things with, like, divinity counters and activated abilities. So, of course, like, I guess that'd be what? Rings of Bright Hearth.
Yeah, Strionic Resonator.
Yeah.
Stuff like that, and just double activated
Double
abilities.
activations, really. So, yeah, pretty cool. I mean, the art's really sweet.
Yeah. I'm curious to see I'm guessing this will be a full cycle, so the other three, I don't know. Will there be a blue dinosaur? That's the other thing, too, is I never expected a black dinosaur. They seem so heavy on Naya for the start of it, and now all of a sudden it's just like, here's an oddball dinosaur, and I'm wondering if we're going to get more black dinosaurs with this set or not, or is this the only one? Is this a standalone?
Yeah.
We don't really know
maybe
at
if
this point.
they're rivaling, maybe it's not just like the rivals, like you think. I was thinking, okay, Merfolk versus Conquistador Vampires, like they may mean like Naya dinosaurs versus something else,
Well, I'm curious as to if like these elder dinosaurs are just like the protectors of what's the name of the city? It's like Azcanta or something like that, or is that anyway the city that we're all trying to get to?
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if that maybe is just that cycle, and these guys aren't really allied to any faction. They're just like the protectors.
The baddies that are there, yeah. I could see that. Let me see. Next, we imagine this one's been out. This is the longest spoiler that's been out. But we have Gahalta Primal Hunger. 12/12 for 12, but he costs less for your power, essentially, with Trample.
So kind of like a weird Savala.
Yeah. So really, I think it's pretty straightforward. I know Seth is talking about, he saw this and he's like, man, that's really super greedy because, you could probably get it out on turn 4 or 5 in standard or something. But like the question is somebody going to hostage taker this from you? Like
Dice to Doomblade.
Yeah, really. I mean, sure. There's a huge downside to this card, but it speaks to me.
Oh yeah.
On a this is bad type level, but it's really, really not bad.
I mean,
cool.
it's really interesting. I love that it has trample. It needed that evasion, because if it was just a 12/12 dummy, it's just like,
jump.
I wish it had some kind of like protection, like if it, I don't know, had hexproof is pushing it way too far, but like some
couldn't be
kind
countered
of
or something. Yeah, I could see that.
Something like that. And I don't know. It's going to be an interesting card. I don't know how many people will be rushing out to build commander decks around this guy, or, just play with him. And I'm sure he'll probably find a home in standard at some point, but who knows? Yeah. I know that he could be pretty interesting in, like, as mentioned before, like a Sylvala deck. You throw him in there, all of a sudden you can because that deck is all about generating that power, and if you can get that power quickly, which usually you can,
he'd be
all of a
costing
sudden,
2.
yeah, and then you're tapping for 12 with Sylvala. So I mean, that's pretty big. So
I was thinking of kind of the Omnath approach, like storing mana, even if you had to pay 12 for him, like, or I guess he wouldn't be more in an Omnath deck if he's your commander, but like you could of course use him as your commander. I did a whole list of creatures that are like odd power, like weird toughness combinations for cheap. Like one that comes to mind is the Looping Prototype.
Oh yeah.
What is it, a 5/2 for 2
Yeah.
or something? Like that one's really good. Cards like Berserk make this nuts. So if you just Berserk looping Prototype, you don't even have to swing with it, but it's a 10/10. Like
yeah, and then you just pay 2 green and just like bloop.
Yeah. So there's ways, and of course like that's focusing on this. This is a good include for the people who love like the green archetype of giant monsters with trample as a keyword. Too cool.
And then you include this in a deck like Gashath, and then you just swing with Gashath, and then you put this on the board. It's just like, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't care that
You
it
don't
costs
care.
12.
Yeah, please go ahead and deal with this.
Plus, anyway, with Gashath on the board, he only costs 4. So, I mean, it's just like, eh?
Yeah, super cool. This card makes
the
me sad.
The card that everyone is excited about, and I'm excited about. I don't know why it makes Eric sad.
It's got red in it. That's what makes me sad.
I am happy about that. I have thought of red blue as a really good artifact base forever, and I know that it has its own thing going on, but really now that they've got like that Brea deck and they've got like a whole bunch of other just support
Even
for
if
like
you think of like the Izzet stuff, like it fits.
It really does, and it is pretty much perfect. I wish it was an artifact on its front side because that would make it even better, but really I'm just getting greedy at that point. So anyway, if you want to read it for him really quick.
Whenever one or more creatures you control deals damage to a player, create a colorless treasure token with sack add a color to your pool. At the beginning of your end step, if you control 5 or more artifacts, transform, storm the vault. And then the cool part.
Oh god.
Oh no, I didn't get the other side, Steve.
Well, let's pause for a second. We'll be right back.
We'll proceed to the next slide here. This is the Vault of Catlacan.
That's a cool name.
Yeah, it is. And then if you read the abilities, taps on an empty board, it gives you any color.
Which is awesome.
So just essentially a treasure. And then the next part, tap add blue for each artifact you control. So this is a Tolarian Academy.
Yeah.
And of course it would make sense, like, if you've got a Gaea's Cradle, like...
Why not? Yeah, just
why not a
complete the
Tolarian
set.
Academy?
I wonder if we'll get a Sarah's Realm too.
I was just thinking that, like, Sarah's Sanctuary or whatever.
Sanctuary. There we go.
Like, I don't know if there's a whole... I guess there's some enchantments, but at some point they should certainly do it. I think those are great cards that are offset by how strong they are and how old they are.
Yeah.
And now we've got a powered down version. Of course, we're talking from Commander, so who cares? Like, this is attainable, like you said, in a red-blue artifact deck.
It's so easy in like a Brea deck.
Yeah.
It is so easy because it's just like, oh yeah, I have 5 artifacts. I play this enchantment, and then it flips over. Blah.
Super easy.
Yeah.
I think I wonder if and of course if you don't know, Tolarian Academy is banned in multiplayer Commander, and I think 1v1.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
It's a beast. Like, I think it's even restricted in other formats and stuff, if not banned. Like, it's good. It's behind the wall. You've got to do something for it, but I wouldn't be surprised if this gets banned. Like you said, you play your commander twice, Brea, get some artifacts, and you flip this in no time. And
well, you play, Soul Ring, Signet, Brea, and you've met your thing.
She costs
right there.
4, right?
Yeah, she does cost 4.
Okay, so that's probably maybe like turn 3 if you can't get like.
Depends on how tuned your deck is. If you can get Brea out pretty quick, you can probably get this out pretty quick as well.
Yeah.
So.
And then flip it, and then you're just in Crazy Town. Yeah. I wonder if it gets banned someday. If it's really like.
I doubt it. I think it's one of those things that once you have that little bit of like they have to do something to get into it, I think it makes it not so much on like the super competitive scene. Obviously this could go into that and be totally fine, but some people stray away from it. I don't think it'll get banned. I don't think there's enough like real artifact pressure out there. And Brea's already been banned for 1v1 a long time ago, so right. It's just like it's not going to make a splash there.
I forgot.
So, I don't know 100%, but that's my guess on it. I think it'll be fine. Just like the Gaea's Cradle, just like all those cards. Now, if they were to do something like, I don't know,
flip a card without meeting its condition or
take
something.
like 2 extra turns or something like that, then it's just like, yeah. I mean, I can't even. They've basically given us all we want already. Everything else is just gravy from now on as far as these flip cards go, because this was my missing part so far. Because we've got the Guy's Cradle, we've got the whatever else we've got, and then you add this, and it's just like, okay, well, I've got plenty of these. This is awesome.
Hopefully, there's another cool 2 or 3 of them, just like in Ixalan.
I can't even think of what else they could do.
Me either. Like, they'll surprise us, and it'll be spot on.
Yeah. Like the only one that I can think of is like we talked about, the Sierra Sanctum. Like that's it. That's the only one that I'm like, what's a good land? Maybe like a Makokoro or something like that. That could be possible. Or what's the Elephant Graveyard or not Elephant Graveyard, but the one that lets you regenerate your green creatures.
Maya Hollow.
Yeah, stuff like that. I could definitely see that, and I would appreciate those as well.
Yeah, that'd be a good one. And
I love these permanents flipping into lands.
Yeah, dude, and it's so flavorful. Like you're exploring, and it's like, oh, I found a little bit of treasure. Holy cow, I found the place. Like, oh, so cool.
We just need like an instant or sorcery that flips into a land now.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how you'd make that work, but
yeah, exile it and flip it or something.
Could be interesting.
Ready for our next one?
Yeah.
Cool. We've got O Soul Immortal. This one is in Italian or whatever, but we'll flip to the next page here. You can see it costs 6, artifact legendary, and you might be able to make it out, but players can't activate loyalty abilities of planeswalkers at the beginning of your draw step.
It hurts. The pain.
Really. I thought it was opponents initially.
Oh yeah,
it's everybody. At the beginning of your draw step, draw an additional card. Spells cost you 1 less to cast, and creatures you control get +1/+1.
So let's just give one player everything, which is absolutely amazing. I love this artifact. I was commenting to Eric earlier, I'm really happy that it costs 6, and I don't think it's going to go anywhere in Standard, so we can pick up as many copies as we want.
Yeah.
The only thing is I have to be kind of cautious, because I run a lot of Planeswalkers. I love Planeswalkers. They make the game a lot of fun, and it's like, I just take a weird extra turn.
Yeah.
Like, my first thought was, I need this for Durette, and then I thought about, I don't need this for Durette at all. I do not want this in Durette at all.
Yeah, and like, it would cost more, I think. It'd probably cost 8 if it was opponents couldn't activate loyalty abilities. Like, but this kind of makes sense. Maybe there's some sort of, like, dampening power or whatever. Like, they want to take the planeswalkers out, or in the story they come across this thing or something, and then you're beefed up in other ways, but hindered in another. But if you're prepared for this, like, who cares?
Oh, and it makes 100% sense, like lore wise, because I mean, it's not letting the planeswalker leave, so he can't activate his loyalty ability, I guess. I don't know. This card is amazing.
Yeah,
I keep looking at it. The more and more I look at it, I'm just like, I just need like 3 copies of this.
Yeah, it'll be. I feel like this one kind of has that oh my gosh potential, like the Paradox engine and stuff. Like, it's pretty straightforward, I think, and
it's very basic but very good.
And even like, first thing, I could plan around that.
Yeah.
Just players,
run Planeswalkers.
Just to run Planeswalkers, you're good. And then drawing an extra card. How many cards do we have that? Howling Mine is a bad example. Staff of Inn is a good but expensive example. This is a pretty good card for that, know. And then you think of spells that cost 1 less. You think of like Cloud Key with certain restrictions, or the creatures that I like Ethereum Sculptor, or this and that.
Yeah. And
now it's just all spells.
Yeah. They could have definitely limited this to like one type, like creatures cost 1 less or something like that.
And then you get the added bonus of your creatures are.
Yeah, it's funny. I don't even care about that part. I really don't.
It's really those middle 2 for me.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, it's good because like the first place that I put this in is Dragonlord Dromoka, because that's like a lockdown deck, and then it's just like, oh yeah, Hate Bears. Let's just add that in there so people can't do anything with their planeswalkers, and then let's just by chance get all this other crap.
Yeah, I was thinking, and you could even build up your own forces of whatever planeswalkers at a cheaper cost and blow it up or something, like blink it in and out on your turn, like it's really good.
It is. It's crazy.
And then kind of the last, and maybe, like, it's definitely interesting. It's a good card, Silvergill Adept.
Yeah, that's a reprint from Lorwyn, I think it is.
Yeah, Lorwyn block. Of course, it's a part of, I guess, Modern and probably Legacy Merfolk. It's kind of got that, like, odd kinship ability for revealing and stuff, but Drawing a card for 2 and having a body isn't so bad unless you don't have a merfolk, and that's 5.
It's a very good reprint, I think, and it's, you know, I really like the promo version that they put into, what was it, the Merfolk versus Goblins? I think it was.
I think so.
I like that artwork a lot. This artwork's or no, I'm thinking of the full art card for the game day. That's what I'm thinking of, because I think that's the alternate art for this, is the full art card for game day with the dinosaur.
With the dinosaur, yeah.
I
guess
sorry,
I haven't seen that one.
I'm misspeaking, but I really like that artwork, and this artwork is good too, but I really like that other artwork, and I think it's because of the full frame. I love the full frame stuff. So
yeah.
I mean, there's not really a whole lot to say about this card. You know, we already know what it does. People have been playing with it for a very long time. But
like you said, a good reprint.
Yeah, good include. So
yeah. All right, let's move to our second topic.
Correct.
So, Steve, you brought up this topic.
Me and Seth and Kylie and pretty much everybody I've been talking to, we've been kind of bouncing around this idea of like, have we already lived through the golden age of Commander? And I know it's kind of it's a weird topic, because it's just like, we're getting the most amazing cards that we've ever seen in, you know, forever, you know, like ever. Especially with like these new Commander releases and everything like that. But in a lot of ways, has that taken away from the game, because now we have to be a little less, you know, creative. You know, a lot of ways, the brewing has definitely kind of
slowed down,
especially with like things like EDH Rec coming around, stuff like that. And it's just been an interesting thing that's been bouncing around in my head, like, have we lived through it, or are you, like we talked about earlier, you know, are we just looking through it of the lens of, we've been playing for too long and blah 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 kind of thing? So
yeah, you know, like I don't know, I could understand, and I haven't been playing here as much. Like you said, things are spiky. Like I've commented in the past, I remember when there were times it's like everybody had that kind of deck that was just going to kill you on turn 4 and you move on, and then the next person kills you on turn 6, and you know, that sort of stuff kind of comes and goes. I do agree, like you and I hadn't thought of this, like there are a lot more like resources online for people, which is great. Anything that helps players build, like I talked to Kyle about Netrunner DB and all these like systems for people to check decks and who's playing what and why they do this. You think of, like, we used to just have tapped out and stuff. Like I remember when I was building decks, I'd go through 5 or 10 lists, and now it's like you can go to one website and see this card's really good, and 96% of players that run this commander run this card.
Yeah.
And I think that you reach the like honed point of your deck much more quickly.
Oh yeah. You turn around and it's just like, oh, okay, it's done.
Yeah, and not that people playing with untuned decks makes it fun, but I agree, like discovering those other cards is like that's how we used to do it.
Yeah.
You know.
I remember, you know, sitting down and looking at a box of cards, you know, like at the shop, like I remember the dollar bin or whatever, and just going through there and finding cards that somewhat work with the commander that I've chosen. And now it's just like you said, you click one button, all of a sudden it's just like, well, I need this. It's almost like instead of building something, you're just making a shopping list.
Right.
And it's just, I don't know. I know that myself personally, like I cannot do that and just build it the way I used to and be fine. But it's just so much easier just to go to EDH Rec or the millions of other websites that have commander decks on them, and just make a carbon copy of whatever and then put it up. You know, one of my best friends, Lauren, you know, one of your friends as well, that's what he does. He doesn't play the game for the same reason that we do. He wants to win the game all the time. We want to, you know,
just experience. And
so for him, it's perfect because he can just go on there and be like, I really want a very competitive Mishra deck, you know, and here's the list. Here's what I need to get. It's super easy and it's done for me. And it's just like, I mean, that's just like one of the many pieces I think that's affecting this, in my opinion. I really like, one of the big things that I keep thinking about, which I already mentioned, is the addition of all these commander products coming out all the time, and then the conscious effort to make commander cards, because it's just like, they're so obvious, you know. It's just like, you look at things like Panharmonicon, it's just like, oh my god, that is a commander card.
Even that Immortal Sun, like, that is like you said, maybe not a place in standard unless there's a heavy control deck or something. Like,
I mean, it's definitely usable there, but it's not going to be like a top tier deck or anything like that. It's an add-in and it's a commander card, and I know that they need to make those types of cards, and they always have. That's why the format exists to begin with, because of bigger, slower cards that are really, really powerful, but maybe not always attainable in standard, but for a format where you're starting at 40 life and you have 3 opponents, it's definitely, attainable.
More doable. I was talking to somebody about how and we said this, not maybe on our podcast before or vidcast, but like the more recent a set is, the more commander friendly.
Yeah.
And you just mentioned the release. I love, like, the most fun I've had playing Commander was probably the out-of-box gameplay in a long time for C-17. Yeah. They were great. And then I think back to the other ones we did. We did a big round of C-13 when that came out and stuff. Like, they're spot on.
Yeah.
But I think one thing that does contribute to this, when you asked this or posed this question a few days ago, I thought back to what really, like, ground my gears years ago as far as commanders, and it was I hated Niv Mizzet. I hated like Chris had I've told this story, the Shakashima deck.
Yeah.
There were a handful. Nikusar really got me for a long time, and that was like the tippity top of like I'm not having fun Summit,
Yeah.
And now it does seem like not that that's wrong, but it seems like there are a lot of those cards in the newer sets.
I feel like those cards are almost inefficient at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you think about, like, Nikusar, you've got the Locust God now, and it's just like, why am I doing the Nikusar? Like, I would rather be just drawing my own cards and then just kill everybody with Locust, and that goes the same with Niv Mizzet.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Niv Mizzet is a corner case, because Niv Mizzet, it just gets better with time because it adds more and more additions to it. But, like, I was thinking about this the other day with, like, Shroom. Shroom is a perfect example of this. Back in the day, Shroom's ability was, like, ridiculous.
Yeah, insane.
But now you've got cards that just do that casually. It's just like, okay, I'll reanimate something.
Yeah.
Whoop, whatever.
And really, like, if you sit down from a Shroom deck, there isn't that, like, fear or, like,
no.
Oh, God, I see where this is going. And
exactly.
Now, I mean, that card, I think there are those decks, and instead of 5 cases, there's, like, 12.
Yeah.
Of... oh man, they're running this commander, like it's gonna be bad quick,
Then you've got like cards that are still like Animar is a really good example of a card that's been busted forever and will always be busted. Mm-hmm. Like it's just like, I don't know. I had the feeling that when I used to sit down across from Shroom or Una, Queen of the Fae, or any of those commanders, those were like, oh my god, I'm gonna get my butt chewed. But now it's just like I sit across from those and I'm like, I'm playing Marin of Clan Neltoth. Like, I don't care. Like, my commander destroys everyone. So it's just like...
And that, again, we play for different reasons. Like, there's nothing... If you run these commanders, like, there's nothing wrong with that.
No. And I run most of these commanders myself. I just, like I said, I was just making observation about, like, what's going on.
Yeah, and it is strange. Like, and I guess, I don't know if that's a bad thing to say, that I think they're designing good cards.
Yeah.
Like... But
it's kind of like complaining about a good thing.
About a good thing, yeah. That's a very good point, Steve. Like, I don't know if that really contributes, even 25% of the problem.
Yeah.
In how we view it or whatever, but just the shine might be off a little bit, and that could be 5% of it. Like,
well, and I think you're right. There is definitely a cycle, and we've experienced it. I don't know how countless times here.
Yeah.
But going back to like what me and Seth were talking about, like I remember like maybe 2 years ago at this point, like we just had like the commander renaissance here. Like we had, I don't know how many players all the time, and everybody seemed to be on the same level, and it was amazing. Everybody was having a blast, and now it's just kind of like gone in this other direction where it still is a lot of fun. Of course, I'm not complaining about not having fun. It's just everything is very competitive and very like well tuned, which is fine. I want people to be able to play the way they want to, but at the same time it's kind of taken away that social aspect of it, because you're not necessarily there to play against your opponents, you're there to play your deck. And that's a weird place to be.
Yeah, I think some people, we get the comment a lot, oh, I don't like EDH, and you say, oh, why? That's too bad. Like, I understand it. But people say, yeah, I don't get the multiplayer thing. Like, I'm just there to kill people. Like, that's why I play Standard or Legacy. Like, they're at 20 and I want to get that to 0.
Yep. And I understand that.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense.
1v1, I love doing that too.
I think if, and if you think about it, like, if EDH started, if you could be there for that moment where if somebody said, we should play together and slow the game down and, like, probably have a beer with this, like... That's how Commander got started.
Yeah.
Like, and if those people didn't have that mindset, it wouldn't exist. Like,
yeah.
you know,
and we'd be talking about something else.
Yeah, probably. You know, it's tough. I don't know. Like, you ask that question, like, is this the end of the golden age? Well, and then, you know...
Well, there's two directions we can go. We can either go down or we can go up. We can go to the platinum age. We don't know.
Yeah, that's true. I guess you're right.
There's positives,
too. The diamond age, yeah.
Because, I mean, like we already said, the cards are ridiculous. The cards that have been coming out. And I'm wondering if we'll get to a point where the card density is so great on, like, awesome, ridiculous cards that we'll almost be back into that same loop because we'll all be playing on the same level.
Yeah.
All the cards are ridiculous. And now we've got even better cards that are coming out just to add into things.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's... Like, this whole Ixalan has really kind of brought that into view with, like we talked about, the flip cards. These flip cards that turn into lands that were, for the most part, unattainable for most people. And now you can get them relatively cheap, and you can put them in your deck. And I've been able to flip over the green one a million times and play with it, and it's ridiculous. It's amazing. So it's just like you start adding in those kind of things, and you start taking away, like, that nostalgia almost of like the Gaia's Cradle, you know, and you start making that attainable, and it's just like now everybody's at the same power level again, like we just talked about.
And maybe it's like you could ask a newer player and they might say, holy cow, Commander is awesome. Like, it is this giant, like, burgeoning field of new cards that I haven't played with. Like, they might pick up a Growing Rights and say, what, there's a card that's $160 plus, like,
that's a version of this,
and I can run this. Like, maybe that's it for us. We're waiting 3 months for the new hotness that we can include in an old deck, and somebody else that might be a year and a half to, say, 3-4 years behind us, like, they're still, like, you know, diving in head first. You know, that's something.
Well, and it's definitely an amazing time to get into the format too, because it's just like you can, once again, you can build a deck that's really, really good for basically, you know, pennies compared to what we used to have to do.
There's a guy in here yesterday who we're doing a sale, a Small Business Saturday, like, if you're seeing this in the future, you know now. And he bought like 40 allies for like $17 and then got a discount on it, you know, and he's just like, dude, like General Tarim or whatever, like Tazir or whatever,
I can't remember.
It's just like he's good, you know, and that's the kind of deck building I like to see. As far as that's where I approach. He's just like going through his phone. Okay, allies, you know. But you know, it is a good point. I think, I don't know, man. It's tricky. I don't want to be so down, but it's like, I mean, I get it.
I guess I didn't pose the question to be negative. I posed the question just to be an observation, because I think, you know, part of what you said kind of struck me as like, maybe it's just because we're looking at it through this lens, and I think you're 100% right. I think maybe we're just kind of like, okay, we've done this a million times before. Okay, I'm done with it. And that might be the entire play group at this point. We may just want to be here to just get the points and go home.
Right.
Which is the wrong way to play Commander, in my opinion. And I think that's what I'm picking up on. You know, because I really want to be in the top 8 and blah, 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 and I really want to make those points. And I'm thinking about that way more than actually playing the game and having fun. Yeah. Which is the approach that I've almost always taken on it, and I really maybe personally need to get back to that, and maybe our play group will get back to that. And it's kind of funny, whenever we go from like the tournament and then we go to like the super casual nights, people are either really for it or they don't show up. So it's just like, okay.
And in the past, I think it was the opposite. Some people were like, I don't want to play the league, like, and I, you know, that's something I was going to comment on. Like, I think Kylie has told me before, I'm done. Like, I don't want to just like grind out matches and finish my 1v1 or the 6 o'clock game to get to 1v1s and then like hopefully finish 2 more multiplayers. Like, you know, maybe that's something how we need to look at the league and say, look, this isn't a job. Like, you don't want to. This isn't about getting promoted. Like, sure, duke it out and stuff, but like, I don't know.
Well, and that's why I think, you know, maybe as the shop we could start taking a look at like making goofy challenges with it, you know, like maybe we could run like a unstable / blah 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 league, you know, just like a one night event where everybody plays with like a unglued, unhinged deck or something like that.
Allow those cards or something.
And then just have fun with it and maybe get back to that, a little bit of that casual atmosphere. And it's funny because it's just like, I'm on both sides of this, because it's just like I want to play competitively sometimes too, but it's so hard. I think I've broken it down personally myself to super competitive 1v1, very casual multiplayer, and that may be the wrong way to look at it here because it's the same, you know. Although I find most people don't even know what 1v1 is, and they're just like, what? There's a 1v1 at the end of this?
Yeah, I've got my multiplayer deck, you know.
And then you cream them because they don't have the right deck, and it's just like, I feel really bad for you, but...
Yeah.
Ha!
This is how it goes.
I gotcha.
2 points. Yeah, I could see that as well. Like, and, yeah, I don't know, dude. It is tricky. And I understand that, like you said, there's a little less room for being casual in 1v1, and I think there's a little less room for being competitive in multiplayer for most people. Like... But that's how you got to play. You can't really sit down from your opponent and say, let's have a good time in a 1v1 match. Like,
yeah, really.
Unless you really want to.
I'm going to have a good time, so...
I'm going to kill you as fast as I can. That's me having a good time.
Yeah.
I don't know. And again, it always comes back. And like, this should be the subtitle of this channel. Like, people play Magic for different reasons. You know?
I mean, it really is. And I embrace that fully.
Yeah,
I mean...
It's important.
We ourselves have even changed why we play Magic. I mean, if you think about it, like, when I played Standard, I played to win. And that's all I really wanted to do, and I never really won. And now I started playing Commander, and I started winning, and now I play to have fun and win. So it's just like you kind of marry those ideas. But I don't know. It's. I
think EDH, besides all this, not griping, but you know, kind of let's say 10, 15 minutes of reflection. Like, Commander is the best format out there.
Oh yeah,
I think
there's so much you can do, and it's just like. It feels limitless to me.
Yeah.
It is the open prairie compared to like the stronghold that Legacy is.
Or like the battlefield of Legacy or something like that.
And it's just a huge difference.
I agree as far as it just man, Commander. It's just good. It's that, like you said, limitless. I think is a good word for it.
Yeah. I don't know. I like the way we started this. I just asked myself the question, like, have we been there? Have we done it? And you really brought up the good point of maybe that's just us. So new players, if you want to let us know like how this feels for you, like maybe this is like, you know, the new Commander renaissance for you. And I'm really curious as to like the people that played like 10 years ago Commander or something like that, if this is kind of like they had this feeling a long time ago and now they're just over it. I really think I will transition out of this eventually. I'm just kind of in a slump as far as like, okay, I'll just go play again. I'd rather have those fun games. Like, I talked to Seth about this the other day too. I have more fun playing our weird challenges than I do playing the League at this point. Just because I don't know what's going to happen, and we can restrain ourselves as far as like, we can only play with blah 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 cards and blah blah blah. And I feel like that adds that extra bit of restriction. I like having restrictions rather than being able to do everything, because I think it breeds creativity, whereas if you have everything, it gets boring.
Yeah, I could see that.
And I think that may be what I'm picking up on, just because I can easily attain anything that I want to and just do it.
Yeah.
I feel like everybody else can do that too, and it's just like, well, you're playing X artifact deck, you're playing X blink deck, you're playing X graveyard deck, and we're all going to play the most hyper-tuned cards that we can and beat the crap out of each other for, 30 minutes and see who comes out on top. Whereas it's just like, oh, that deck's really innovative. It's adding these crazy artifact cards and blah, blah, blah. And I feel like that was the old days before that we had the mega websites like EDH Rec and stuff like that. So that may be gone forever. That may not be a thing anymore. And we just need to look at the game in a different perspective. I'm still going to enjoy it. I'm still going to have fun playing it. I'm never going to stop playing Commander for the most part. I may take breaks here and there, but we'll always be playing.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So anyway, I think with that, I think we've talked about it.
We have. So, stay tuned. Episode 11 next week sometime, and we'll catch you guys later.
Yep. See ya. Oh, and happy Thanksgiving.
Yes.